In this video, we are going to learn something about structs, which is a new data type, but it is quite different from the data types that we already know. So that is why we need to learn how to declare a struct and what's the size of a struct, because we already know the size of all the other data types, so we should already be aware of the size of a struct, and we will assign and read values to a struct and of a struct. Okay, so the first thing is we are going to declare a struct, and this is pretty easy. We will start with the keyword struct. We will give the struct a name. I will choose struct1 just now because yeah, I'm not good at this. And we will make some curlies, and inside of the curlies we will be working with the struct. So this is optional. The name is optional. We will see why that is optional later. And we also have some element names here which are also optional. We would be putting them here, but for this video we will just stick to this declaration. So the struct keyword, the struct name, and the curlies. Later we will know why we can have some different ways of declaring a struct and when we need that. Okay, and inside of the struct we are using the data types that we already know. So we have, for example, the integer, and we can give that a name, for example number, and we have a character, for example, that could be a name. Okay, so that's all for our first struct that I want to show you now. And now we want to assign some values to the struct. So you know, before we have some variables like the variable a, and we assign some value with the equal sign. And now we are, yes, doing the same thing, just with our own data type struct. So that is our type now. It's quite a long name for a type, and that is the new variable name. So this variable now is of type struct1. Of course, the name is not very intuitive, but for this tutorial it's enough. And now we are going to assign a value to the number of a, because a now has members, and one member is number and the other member is name. And we can access these members by the dot operator, and we can assign a value to it just like this. Okay, and the second thing is we want to assign a value to our array, which is why I included the string library. We already worked with the string library in the previous video, and we used the strncopy function, and we are going to use this function now again. We need this because maybe you remember that exercise when we used string.h. We wanted to fill an array with some string value. So I showed you two ways. The first way was with a loop, and the second way was with that copy function. We can't just assign a string value to an array. We can just do this if we initialize that array. Remember, when we have an array, maybe b, and we initialize this, we can just set a string value, but we can't do it after the initialization. We need to do that now with the string function, strncopy. So I want you to get used to this function. So I'm introducing this here now too. And this function is working like that. First we provide our array that we want to fill, and second is we provide the string that we want the array to be filled with, and the second is the reason we have an n here. We tell the function how many characters we want to put inside of this array, since this array has a maximum of 20 characters and I'm too lazy to just write 5 here. I just wrote 20, just fill in all. That doesn't really matter. If you want, you can also use strcopy. You just have to put the name and the string. That's also okay. You can choose whatever function you like here. The more functions you know, the better. Okay, so actually we want to print out the values now. That is read values, printf. And the first value of our struct1, a, I gave the name a here. We have a number, and that number of course is an integer value, and we have a name, and that name of course is a string value, and we want to print that out, number and name. Okay, and now we are going to compile our program with WALL again, so we can see, okay, we get no error, that's fine, and I will run that program, and yes, it also executes just as expected. Okay, so this is the first way of assigning values, but as you know, we can initialize some values whenever we declare a variable, and of course structs are no different. So I can already provide some values when I declaring that variable. In this case, I am declaring variable b, and now I can assign values. I need to follow the struct here. So the first declared variable type in this struct is also the first inside the initialization. So first I need to provide the number, second I need to provide the name. If I have a third variable here, I need to provide that third. Okay, so the first is the number, so it's 2, obviously, because I started with 1 here, and the name, you guess it, is world. Okay, so in this case, because I'm initializing with values, I can provide the string just like it, and I don't need the strncopy function. And now I will just copy it because I'm lazy. Now I can go here, copy this, and say, okay, b name, b number, and this is of course struct1 b. So I compile it again, no error, everything is fine, and we can see, okay, this is type struct1, so that's why I wrote this here. B is number 2, and the name is world, which is exactly the value I gave it. Okay, so last but not least, we want to know the size of the struct. So intuitively, we could say, okay, an integer has 4 bytes and one character has 1 byte, so an array of 20 characters will have 20 bytes, so this should have 24 bytes overall in size, right? This is the intuitive way, and it's not always right. In this case it is, but generally speaking it's not. Whenever you write your type, don't forget to write the struct. We will get to know some keyword later that will allow us to omit the struct keyword later on, but for now we will keep that. Okay, so the size of our struct, in this case, I already told you, is as expected 24, but we can add a double value here. I will just call it a because I'm late. Oh no, a is not very good. I call it double. Okay. And now of course I have to go to b and assign a value to it, because I told you it's important that we keep the order here, and that's why I put double in the middle, so you can see, okay, this is the integer value, this is the double value, this is the string value. Okay, so I don't need to change anything for a, because I can just leave it uninitialized. That's okay. And I will print out this value, but first let us think about it. The integer has 4 bytes, the double has 8 bytes, and the character has 20 bytes. So we are expecting a total of 32 bytes. 4 plus 8 is 12, plus 20 is 32. but we are getting a total size of 40 bytes. So keep in mind that sometimes you can't predict the size needed for a struct, although this depends on the machine you are working on. So sometimes you can and sometimes you cannot, and also on the compiler how much memory it will take in reservation for your struct. Usually it's more than the calculated value of all your data types, but like I said, you don't know that. And this is very important because later we need to allocate the required memory by ourselves, and maybe you will ask yourself, okay, why don't we put a static value inside of there, because we can calculate that I just have 2 integer values, so I put it to 8, and this might be dangerous, and this might lead your program to crash or work unexpectedly. So always try to follow dynamic programming conventions, so you don't need to change your program depending on the machine it's running. Okay, yeah, that's all for this video. We learned about structs, we learned how to declare them, we know the size of a struct, and we learned how to assign and to read the values. We know that, again, the character is an exception here, maybe because after we declared a variable of our struct type, we need to use the strncopy function whenever we want to fill an array with a specific value. The only exception to this is upon initialization, we can just provide a value for this. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we will keep on working with structs. I will show you one example that is a little bit more intuitive than the struct one. And of course, you will learn some more things about C-level language again. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.